All right, here's how you do problem number one. We're working with irrational numbers. Remember, an irrational number is a number that cannot be written as a fraction. And for example, problem number one, they gave me square root of 35. I'm going to do something similar number, square root of 65. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to look for the number that is inside the square root here, so 65. And you're going to look at the list up here and you want to find between what two perfect square root numbers is square root of 65. So what you're going to do is look inside each of these square root numbers and look for two numbers that 65 is going to be in between. So for example, 65 could be between 64. You see that it says 64 inside the square root here. And now 65 is not between 64 and 81. Or in fact, it is in between 64 and 81. 65 is right in between here, okay, between these two numbers. That's what square root of 65 is going to be, because it's 64 is smaller than 65 and 81 is bigger than 65. So that means that my answer is going to be between the 8 and the 9. And so to help you understand even better, if you take the calculator and you do square root of 65, here's the square root symbol, you're going to see that your answer is 8.0 something. And this number is between 8 and 9. And that's how you figure out problem number one. All right, here's how you do problem number two. They ask you, remember, we're working with irrational numbers, numbers that cannot be written as a fraction. And one way you know how numbers cannot be written as a fraction, when you make it into a decimal, you're going to have a decimal that is a long decimal. In fact, it's a decimal that goes to infinity. It never stops. But when you look at the decimal size, there's no repetition. There's no pattern. So here they're asking you to do the square root of 37 and to do an approximation. When they ask you to do an approximation, it means we're going to do some rounding. Okay, so you're going to take your calculator. Here it is. But I'm not going to do square root of 37. I'm going to do square root of 65. Okay, I'm going to show you how you do an approximation. So click the square root symbol, 65. You can see you got this long decimal here. Okay, that's what we call an irrational number. Look at the long string. Okay, it's a very long decimal, but there's no pattern. There's no repetition of the same group of digits. All right. Now, how do I approximate? I'm going to have to do rounding a decimal. They asked me to round to the nearest hundred. You can see it here in the instruction. So what I do is I'm going to take this decimal and I'm going to put in this chart. So for example, 8.06. And you can see I already got to the hundreds place. However, when you're doing rounding, you need an extra digit. Okay, so if I'm already in the hundreds, that means I need an extra digit. I need to write the next digit, which is in the 1,000. And that will be the 2. Okay, so if you're rounding to the hundreds, you need the next one after. And what I'm going to do now to round where the 6 is, that's what I want to round because it says 100. I'm going to look to the digit to the right. Okay, if that digit is 5 or more, the 6 will go 1 up. When it's not 5 or more, it will stay the same. So because the 2 is not bigger than 5, this 6 is going to remain the same. So I'm going to put the little wave equal sign. That means approximate. That's what that means. Okay, approximate. And my final answer is going to be 8.06. Okay, and I did the rounding of this irrational number. I approximate the answer to the nearest hundred. All right, here's problem number 3. Same idea like I did the previous one. Okay, we are going to approximate the square root of 149. These are irrational numbers. Now, when they say approximate, it means we're going to do rounding. We're going to round our answer. Now, they say round to the nearest hundredths place. So what you're going to do is take your calculator. Let me clear this up. Now I'm not going to do this one. I'm going to do square root of 173. Put that in your calculator. You get a long string of decimals. And to do the rounding, use the decimal place value chart that I have here on my right side. And I'm going to put this number in the chart. So I have 13, so 1 is in the tens, 3 is in the 1, so 13 point. Now, since they want the 100 place, I'm going to keep filling up the chart until I get to the hundreds place right here. So 1, 5, but because I'm rounding, I need the extra, the next digit. So after the 5, I have a 2. Okay, I don't need to write the rest because I'm rounding to a specific place value place. Okay, so which digit is in the 100? The 5. The 5. I need to decide if I stay the same or I go one up. Who decide that? The 2. Look at the 2. If that number is 5 or more, the 5 will go one up. If it's not 5 or more, it stays the same. Now 2 is not bigger than 5, so it will stay the same. So my final answer, when I approximate, that's what that symbol means, is going to be 13.15. Okay, and that's how you do this problem. Let's go to the next one. All right, here's the next one. It's the same idea, okay? If you notice, we're going to be using the calculator here a lot, and we're going to do some rounding all the time, all right? So we have the square root of 101 over 5. They want me to round this answer to the hundredths place. Again, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do the actual problem here. I'm going to do a similar one. So taking your calculator, that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, let me clear this. I'm going to type this number in the calculator. Now, because it looks like a fraction, click the fraction template, click the square root, type 99. On the bottom, I will type 7. And again, you can see my answer there. And then I'm going to do the approximation, I need to do rounding. To help me do the rounding, I'm going to use the decimal place value chart. I'm going to type my answer in the chart. So it says 1.4. Now, since they want me to the 100 place, I'm going to stop at the 100 place, so 2. But to do the rounding, I need the next digit, which is the 1. So I'm going to put the 1 here. And now I'm going to do the rounding. I'm rounding to the 100 place where the 2 is. The way I do the rounding, I need to look at the digit to the right. If that number to the right is 5 or more, the 2 will go one up. If it's not 5 or more, it will stay the same. Because the number to the right is not 5 or more, I'm going to keep the 2. And then everything else will remain the same. So my approximate answer of this number is going to be 1.42. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, in the next problem, problem number 5, again, we're working with irrational numbers. Irrational numbers, numbers that you cannot write as a fraction. That's why I'm going to be using the calculator here often. They asked me to do the approximate answer of the square root of 90 plus 15. I'm going to do this one instead, square root of 78 plus 19. To do that, I'm going to use my calculator. You can see I put the number in the calculator already, square root of 78 plus 19. And look at my answer. Now, to do the approximation, I need to do rounding. So I'm going to put this number in my chart here, my decimal place value chart. The instruction says round to the hundredths place. So let's write this number here. So we had 27.83. I already got to the hundredths place, but I need an extra digit to do the rounding. So I'm going to put the next digit, which is the 1, and I will stop there. Okay. Now, since I'm rounding to the 100 place, which is the 3, I'm going to look to the digit that is to the right of the 3 in the 1000 place. If that digit is 5 or more, I will go one up where I shaded the 3. If it's not 5 or more, it will remain the same. Because 1 is not more than 5, I'm going to keep the 3. and everything else, I keep it exactly the same. So my approximate answer for this is going to be 27.83. Let's go to the next exercise. All right, here's question number, I lost track of the number, number 6. Okay, so again, we are working with irrational. We're doing approximate answers, and for that, we're going to be using the calculator. Here is a similar one to problem number 6. And what we're going to do, let's use the calculator. I'm going to type this number in the calculator. You can see I already did. Look how long is this decimal. Okay, that means this decimal cannot be written as a fraction. I know the number stopped here where the 9 is. It's because I don't have more computer screen or the calculator screen to keep extending the decimal, but this decimal never ends. That's why it's called irrational, and there's no pattern in the decimal section. So how do we do the approximation? I'm going to put this number in the chart. So I'm going to put 1.13. I'm sorry, now, let me see. Yes, 1.13. They asked me to round to the nearest hundred, so I need the extra digit, the next one to the right, 7. And now I'm going to be rounding to the hundredths place, so which is the 3 that I highlighted. How do you decide to do the rounding? Look to the digit to the right where you want to round, which in this case is the 7. If that number is 5 or more, the place that I shaded in yellow is going to have to go 1 up. So that's why this 3, I'm going to change it to a 4, and then everything else to the right, I keep it exactly the same. So the approximate answer of this problem is going to be 1.14. Let's go to the next one. All right, here is problem number 7. Okay, again, they gave us an irrational number. We're doing approximations of the answer. So they gave us this number here, this multiplication. I'm going to use this one, a similar one. You're going to put this multiplication in your calculator, already did. And to do the approximation, you're going to have to use the decimal place value chart. Let's write our answer here in the chart. However, I'm going to stop writing until I get to the place value they told me to round, which is the hundredth. So let's start writing this out. So our answer is -40. So -40.24. So since they want me to round to the hundredths, I should be stopping there. But since I'm rounding, I need an extra digit. So I'm going to use the next extra digit after the 4, which is the 9. And I'm going to be rounding where the 4 is, in the hundredths place. Okay, how do you do the rounding? Look to the digit to the right. If that number is 5 or more, the 4 that I highlighted is going to go 1 up. Everything else to the left remains the same. And look, the approximate answer of this multiplication is -40.25. Okay, that's how we do this one. Let's go to the next one. Okay, here's problem number 8. And they ask you to use the calculator. I've been using the calculator all the time. I suggest you do the same, okay? And they ask you to round pi to the nearest 10,000s, okay? But instead of using pi, I'm going to use 2 pi. Okay, so you can do this one on your own. You're going to take the calculator, and I'm going to type 2 pi in the calculator. So 2, and here's the pi symbol. Just type it in, and look at the answer. Now, because they want me to round to the 10,000 place, I'm going to use the decimal place value chart. And I'm going to type my answer in the chart. So 6.283. I'm supposed to stop at the 10,000 place. So 2831. I should have stopped here. But because we are using an approximation, okay, we need the extra digit to the right of the 10,000 place, to the right of the 1. So I can do the rounding. And if you look at my calculator, the next digit after the 1 is an 8. So I'm going to put an 8 there in the 100,000 place. Now I'm ready to round in the 10,000s, which is the 1. Look to the digit to the right. That's the 8. If that number is 5 or more, the 1 that I highlighted is going to go up 1. If it was not 5 or more, then you stay the same. But here I need to go 1 up. Everything else to the left, I'm going to write it again. And that will be the approximate answer of 2 pi. Okay? And that's how you do this lesson.